What's up, everybody? We are back. It's another episode, another live stream on a Tuesday. But so what? I do what I want. Do what you want when you popping. So on YouTube, y'all make sure y'all like and subscribe. And you know how that goes. So basically, I'm trying to think what happened. Something happened. So I was gonna do this yesterday. Yo, CJ. So I was gonna do this yesterday. Something came about, and then I was trying to debate that I want to do an episode for the week because I have an episode ready to go, but I don't like dropping one episode and then having nothing left. So I break the fourth wall on a live stream, and I'm trying to record between now and next Thursday about 3 or 4 of them. So then that way I can keep some stuff going. What was I about to say? So that's that. Also, after this, I'm going to the gym. I went out today. I have a neighbor who's the neighborhood pharmacist. If you know what that means. And basically, I'll be like running errands for him, not illegal ones, because he ain't got no car right now. And he was just like he was trying to go out to eat, so he had me. He took me out to eat, so I go to work out later tonight. I'm gonna do that as soon as this is over. But y'all really liked the Trickin episode. The clips was really good. They were funny, especially on YouTube. Can't put them on TikTok right now because apparently I'm still banned. Not sure if I'm just going to make a new TikTok page, which I think that's what I'm going to have to do. I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet. I don't know if this is the time I need to focus on blowing up my regular TikTok. I don't know. I'm still praying for direction, which is going to be the theme of a vlog that'll be dropping this week too. But I have a guest, y'all. This is somebody who has not been on a live stream, but he was on an episode. What was that? Season 6, I believe. That episode still is streamed. The audio is still streamed pretty well. And once again, for me, I can't speak for everybody, but I know we always want the big names and the millionaires and the followers with the millions and all the views, all the good stuff. But I'm telling you, my best episodes are people that I know personally. Like I literally have episodes on my podcast that are still doing numbers, audio and visually, of people who I'd have been in the club with. And I didn't had some people on this podcast that have been on Oprah and the Today Show and all these celebrities, but it'd be the ones with regular people that do the best. So keep that in mind when you're doing content. Don't get caught up in trying to get the big name. But I'm rambling too much. He has a lot to say. I have a lot to say. So let me go ahead and introduce my guest for today. My guy, what's going on?
What's happening, man? Hey, greatly appreciate you having me on, man. Greatly appreciate
definitely.
it. This is awesome.
Definitely. So obviously I can see your name, but for the audio people, because the audio is going to go up, can you tell the people what's your name, where you from, and then where you live now?
Yeah, absolutely. This is AMROCK. I'm part of the main host of the HL podcast. We drop episodes every Tuesday. Myself, DJ No Name, and Dez Suarez. And right now, I'm back and forth between Baltimore and Richmond. I represent the DMV, originally from Jersey. And I'm also a filmmaker. Dropped 2 films within the last 4 years. And God willing, dropping my 3rd one next year. But the last one was about, it was a documentary called Boomer, 1947. It's up on YouTube right now. It was about my pops, who passed away about 2 years ago now. But he had a whole journey in life, in life and everything, like during the 60s and 70s and everything like that. And me and my brother collaborated on that. And but yeah, and it's it's been going up at the film festivals. Won a few like short films, best black film, best documentary. But yeah, just blessed to be here. Chop it up with you, Izzy. Great to do this again. Like I said, like Ben said, I think your platform, your podcast is one of the best out there. You know what I mean? I always call us like the underground. Like you think of like hip hop, like we like underground, we like Talib Kweli and Black Star and Raucous, you know what I mean? But our platforms as well as others out there are doing big things. So and this is where the people need to come for their information, right? Because we're doing some real talking. So
no, for sure, I definitely appreciate it because I'm of all people, I saw an interview Mama D of all people, and she had said when she got before she got on Love and Hip Hop, she said she was Atlanta's best secret. I feel
Mm.
like I'm the podcasting world's best secret because it's like you know me a little bit, and there's a few other ones too where like people know them, but they don't know them all the way. And it's when by the time they time come, people are gonna say, "Where have y'all been this whole time?" You know, I
Right.
even think about people don't even realize with Hulu. Hulu has been around since 2007,
Mm.
and most people didn't know that. And so that's something to think about with that because it just goes to show you when it's your time, it's your time, and when you gonna get on, you gonna get on. It don't matter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it may not be when you want to. It takes 10 years to become overnight success, and I think a lot of people forget that.
Yep.
And so, you know, even with me, like, because what year did you start your podcast?
2018, January
Same.
2018.
See,
Yep.
we was ahead of the podcast nigga curve, where everybody was like, "Oh, these podcast niggas." We was doing it when people was like, "What is a podcast?"
Right.
So
Right.
nobody knew what it was back then. But you know, now we still here. What's this? 7 years later.
7 years.
So
7 years going on 8.
So before we get into you, because we're gonna get into you a little bit, but
Okay.
my most recent episode, episode 23, live in Atlanta, talking about tricking. I told somebody, I said, tricking and mental health go together. People said, "How?" I said, "Well, you just gotta watch and see." So the three people that were in the video, shout out to Jesse, shout out to JR, and shout out to Chop. I met them at Podfest in January this year. And when
Okay.
I tell you, I've seen them this year probably 4 times. Like it's crazy how like life you meet people at things
Mm-hmm.
and y'all just click.
Yep.
And so, you know, some of them have already started doing business together. I haven't not well, I technically have, but business with them, but it's still, you know, pending with some stuff. But long story short, I just felt like it was a great conversation because I knew it was going to be some laughs. I knew it
Mm-hmm.
was going to be some truth. I knew it was going to be some statistics and things people wouldn't even have known. So, because I know how to do my research, that's that English major. So, let's start off with it. First of all, did you get a chance to see it? And then, if you did, I want you to tell me anything that you liked, anything that you kind of might have challenged.
Yeah, I definitely got a chance to watch the episode. I thought everybody on there was great, and what they were, what they were talking about. You asking the questions. I thought all of that was great. You know, I don't know. I've never been the guy to uh, get involved in like tricking or I've just been a dude that just want to be with whoever he's with, right? Like now,
Yeah,
yeah, if I'm you know if and when I was single, right? Like yeah, I would date, but yeah, I wasn't dating. I'm a Cancer, right? So
okay.
emotional, sensitive, whatever people want to call us or throw at us, but we care, right? So for me, it was never like if I'm gonna, court a girl, take her out on a date, I'm doing it because I like you, or hey, I want to eat. You want to eat? All right, let's go eat, right? Or hey, I want to travel to this place. You want to roll with me? Or like, let's go. Or I'll ask her, hey, where would you, like to go? Where would you like to go? Hey, this weekend you want to go somewhere or whatever. And it was genuine. So, I never thought of it as, I'm triggering or trying to. Now, of course, like, yeah, if you're in a relationship, you would think or hope that, okay, yeah, if we're gonna have a date night and I'm taking my lady out, you will hope that yeah, maybe after the date, y'all go back to the crib and you know where that leads. You
Yeah,
hope all of that happens genuinely though, not because you know what I mean, not because I'm paying for dinner and no, like I just would hope that would genuinely happen because you like me, I like you, and boom. So that was my take on it. But everybody speaking on it, like I said, I thought it was dope. Um, and yeah, I'll leave it at that. That's yeah, yeah.
yeah, no, I appreciate it. So with that one, it was just I knew it was gonna be fun because, like I said, they all kind of in that same boat where I think I knew Chop, that was the one with the locks because he from Atlanta, and I think he said
Okay,
he
yeah,
said
yeah,
in the
yeah. Okay.
video he was just like and one of the clips that really went up on Instagram when he was like, yeah, okay, now you got people in your bushes, now you got this the part that they don't talk about because
Mm-hmm.
that's something most people don't think about, and when it comes, and like I said in the clip, I said, well, somebody said they just want to try it. They just want to see, what it's like, just to see if this is a lifestyle that they can live, because
Mm-hmm.
Lil Wayne said it, Ludacris said it. It was around that 07, 06 era where they were always, it's like a bunch of them that said it in songs.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, and then I made the joke because they said about me, I said, it ain't tricking if you got it. Somebody said, no, it's still tricking. You just got it. And a lot
Right.
of people think that, and that's why, and I saw on TikTok before I got banned, gonna keep being shady, where it was just
Hey,
like,
TikTok, activate this man's account, please. What's wrong with y'all, man?
I don't know, I guess,
Yeah,
and like I
they
said,
tripping.
right. And I didn't talk about way work, but I think it was just the trigger word, and it's one of those things because I
Yeah,
was talking about,
people say way. You and I know people say way worse online, man.
yeah.
TikTok, get that man's account back, man. But go ahead, my
So
fault.
basically, it was talking about that,
Yeah.
and what else? And so I liked when Jesse make those comments like, oh, and that's the thing on TikTok. They were talking about people be like, you're not looking for a provider, you're looking for a trick. And
Mm,
and there is a difference because a man providing is one thing, but in the same breath, some, not all, but some of these women feel like they should just be taken care of and like, okay, cool. I've had homegirls and homeboys, believe it or not, who was tricked on and taken care of, even in some cases by celebrities. And my
mm.
one homegirl who even said, like, it's cool, but if you really don't like the person, it get boring after a while. Because some people think I'm gonna be taken care of. Some people who want to be taken care of too, also, I believe, have some issues with their parents. Now, that's a conversation for another
Oh
day
yeah.
too, because
Well, mm-hmm.
you know what we doing. But I think that too, a lot of times you got an issue. If something didn't happen with your parents didn't take care of you, so now you're looking for that support and a spouse or whatever. I've heard people say comments like, you know, I'm not married for love, I'm married for stability, and you know, I'm not marrying nobody for a vibe. And I'm like, well, I can tell you haven't been around married people because it's definitely possible to have both.
Definitely.
I don't. So when I hear people say stuff like that to me, people telling themselves all the time. You basically tell me you've never been around healthy marriages. I'm clear your parents weren't married, and if they were, it wasn't healthy. I know
Mm-mm.
you're married, right?
I've been divorced, but I am now engaged. Mhm.
Okay,
Again.
so congratulations. So
Thank you.
you know what not to do again.
Right.
So
Definitely.
I think that it's sad because it's a lot of people think like that. They think marriage is stupid and it's a waste of time. And I didn't work this hard. And then you know them likes on Instagram be telling those people what they be liking. And I'll be like, it was a video of this man ranting about that, like, oh yeah, that's stupid that getting married, what I look like getting married and spending all on somebody who didn't work hard as me. That's because you married bimbos. If you married a woman who actually got some stuff going on, it wouldn't feel that way. But
Mhm.
I don't know. I think we should say that one for another day.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Just real quick,
yeah,
it's a choice, right? What I'm realizing now, especially after this past, election and all that, um, choices are being
yeah,
made, right? Like, women can choose to act a certain way or not act a certain way for a particular person and not for that particular person, right? Men can do the same thing. So it's all about choices, right? And, we make those choices every day about what we're going to tolerate, what we want to deal with, you know, what we are going to put out, what we can, what we feel like we need, what we feel like we deserve. We make those choices every day. So a lot of that is just there's choices in there. It's not like this some type of spirit or something saying, "Oh, woman, you can't care about this man because of X, Y, and Z," or man, you can no. We make a conscientious choice to either care or not, or do or don't. Or so
yeah,
I'll just say that to that.
yeah.
But,
And then also what I liked about that episode, it was recorded maybe 4 weeks ago.
mm,
I liked just the authenticity of it. I knew it was going to do good. I knew the conversation was going to be good, and I just wanted to bring perspective because what you as a podcaster, anybody, you have to learn what works,
mhm,
athlete, what works and what doesn't work, and then we're gonna move on to the next topic after this. But with me again, like I said at the beginning of this episode, some of my best episodes are with people realistically the world don't know.
mhm,
I've had people again who are best friends with Taraji P. Henson on my podcast. I've had people who have been on every talk show, who have 1 million followers, who have worked on big Hollywood films, who have been on TED Talks with millions of views.
mhm,
And it's always the episode with somebody, I ain't gonna say just that look like me is color wise, but just usually that's what it is. But somebody that I literally like know who been on the phone with,
mhm,
like I said, been out with, whatever.
mhm,
And it just goes to show with this podcast and knowing your target audience, anything that you're doing, people want to hear, of course, authenticity, but they like relatable, and they like, they like those conversations where it's like, I can get something from this. Now, a lot of those more deeper ones, I can, of course, take those and kind of not necessarily dumb them down, but can make them a little more relatable based on whatever the person is offering. Mm-hmm. But it's like people know when you know the person, and it's like the conversation just goes up, the clips just goes up, and it's a certain style that I go about it. So anybody out there, if you worried about numbers, just try. I'll say you doing anything with a guest, whether it's a vlog, whatever it is, have people that's going to bring out your authentic self. Like those conversations with them people in your real life that you have in the DMs, over the phone, or at dinner, that you wish like we should capture this. Try to recreate that on the podcast and whatever it is, because that's what people want to see.
Yep. Absolutely.
So keep that in mind. Okay, boom. So let's get into the first topic for the day. The first one, it really ain't, well, I'm not gonna say it's not much, but it's one that shocked everybody, and this literally just happened. So I'm glad we're doing the live stream a little later, because I want to speak on this because it caught everybody off guard. But we're gonna have a good conversation about this. D'Angelo, pioneer neo soul, right? Passed away. He had pancreatic cancer. Some of his songs, he got some of the hits. We know I don't want to get copyrighted, so I'm not gonna play them. If it was on YouTube, fun fact for anybody on YouTube, when it comes to songs or whatever, speed them up a little bit. That'll throw it off. But we know he had some hits. I actually saw a clip before I got on that you had kind of gave him a shout out to. Was it on your podcast?
Yes. Well, on my main page. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we're going to talk about this. So let's get into the first topic for the day, or the first segment, which is, what does this have to do with mental health? So first, the study of how we act, think, and feel. This once again goes to show you all people that if nothing else is certain, death is. And you hate to say that, but it is, right?
Yeah.
Death is going to be certain. That's just how the cookie crumbles. People going to pass away. People going to be, they're going to be born, all that, right? But what doesn't have to be certain is cancer for everybody. And then I guess I don't know his struggle. I do know. Well, I know that this was a private battle. I do know that, but I do know a lot of times, especially as men, especially as Black men, I saw it again on TikTok. I was a man who said that he found out he had cancer because he hadn't been to the doctor in 5 years, and had he went, it would have been detected and he could have fought it early and then not even had to be dealing with that. I don't know if he made it, because I know that was documented to see if he made it. But when it comes to mental health, hopefully this situations like this are wake-up calls for people, because it's just to say, if you haven't been to the doctor, it's one thing to get your health be on a regular basis, but go to the doctor, see what's going on, because a lot of things can be caught early and it can be fixed. He is a legend. I'm sure we can all say that. Absolutely. When you got the news, how did you feel about it, and what's your take on what I just kind of said?
Yeah. Oh, wow. I was on Instagram, just like I'm sure many people were on Instagram or TikTok, and somebody was like, yeah, like, rest in peace, D'Angelo. And I'm checking out. I'm like, whoa, what? What's going on? First and foremost, rest in peace to him. He is definitely a legend from RVA, Richmond, Virginia, up the James River. One of the first artists to come out of there, like Skills, like both of them came out around the same time in 95. Richmond was definitely buzzing because of that. That's when I first moved down there, actually, my mom and my sisters. Around that time. And fun fact, they were actually in the Lady video because he was filming it in down at a spot in Richmond. And they were actually like, in the background, but they were actually my two sisters were actually in the Lady video, which is crazy. But yeah, just very sad. My condolences to his son, which he shared with Angie Stone, who passed as well earlier this year. So I can't imagine what he's going through right now. I know he's put out the message out there just saying he thanks everybody for supporting him. And yeah, and hopefully the hip hop community, the Richmond community, the Virginia community, the R&B community supports their son in this moment in the family. But yeah, just really sad. And yeah, I mean, you know, us and especially black men and doctors, we have it's a love and hate there because of the history with healthcare, and they're supposed to be taking care of us, but they're really killing black men and black women, right? You know, black women have a high rate of, you know, either losing their child or having a rough pregnancy or this, and a lot of that is due to the doctors that they may have, right? Or the medication that they may be receiving, or, you know, all those different things. And so, yeah, it's tricky, right? And then of course he's an artist, so he might be on
Yeah.
the road, you know, like you might just feel like, oh, I don't have time to go do that. Again, it could have been the trust thing, but certainly every person who is able, right? You know, healthcare, health insurance, you know, hopefully uh, that gets resolved as far as with the shutdown and everything like that. Hopefully, you know. These Republicans and these politicians, they have somewhat of a soul to at least let this keep going for the people who need health insurance. And hopefully employers step up as well, you know, with increasing, you know, not the premium rates, but like increasing the coverage for people and different things like that. So people can keep their health insurance, because that is also um, you know, we don't know, like that's an uncertainty right now. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, oh shoot, like, am I even going to have the minimal health insurance that I already have, right? And so, you know, especially for black men, we just want to work and work. Most of us are probably working 2 or 3 jobs just to provide, just to pay rent or mortgage. When do you have time to go to the doctor, right? But nevertheless, as my mom, you know, would tell me, right, like make sure you go to the doctor, get a checkup, because I saw my grandfather, he was a black man who didn't go to the doctor and get his checkup,
Yeah.
right? Same thing, you know, unfortunately, somewhat with my father as well. And so I definitely encourage every um, every person, really, but in particularly black men and black women, to go to the doctors, get your checkups, go to the dentist, go to, you know, get your eyes checked, everything.
Yeah.
You know, because yeah, that's definitely important. But again, rest in peace, man, to D'Angelo. Definitely a legend, a R&B legend, a neo soul legend, a Richmond legend, a Virginia legend. He deserves his flowers, man.
So with that, well, let's just go to the next segment real quick. So, which is WWID. What would I do in this situation? So, telling on myself up until October 2023, I was going to the doctor every year. I haven't been. I didn't go last year because being a full-time entrepreneur, I didn't have the education health insurance, and
Okay.
so I was able to go in 2023, and then I didn't go last year. But I'll be going soon once it reinstates this year. So I've only missed a year, which to me
Okay.
is still a big deal because some people, you know, I'll be hearing people they ain't going in 4 years. I'm like, what are you doing? And I go, you know, once a year. You know, I just
Mm-hmm.
got my eyes checked. My eyes then got better. I don't know how, but I take it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll be going to the dentist soon. So it's just the little things. What would I do in this situation? Me, I've always been a health nut. I've gone to the emergency room because in reality, if I really wanted to go to get something checked out, I could just go to the ER and
Sure.
just,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
and this was around the corner from my house, but that might cost an arm and a leg. But you know, go to just to get it checked out, make sure you are all right, just to see
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, I feel a slight pain somewhere. I'm thinking, what is that? And then of course, you know, we go to Google, and that's what we need to stop doing. Because you know, going to Google will tell you that headache it'll be your last headache, and you like, bro, I was just, you know, whole time you ate the wrong thing, or you didn't take the allergy season here, so you got a sinus headache, and it ain't even that serious.
Right.
But in short, you really said it, so I really don't think we have to delve too much in it. But go get checked out. Like I said,
Mm-hmm.
even if you know, give it now the first little thing you may not have to check, but if you still feeling that pain in your side, or you still got that headache after 3, 4 days, you might need to say, okay, what is this?
Mm-hmm.
Because you know, the first time might be able to let it slide, but you know, you might have just ate the wrong thing.
Right.
WWJD, what would Jesus do? So, what is the ethically and morally correct thing to do. So I just said what I would do, but the ethically and morally correct thing to do will be to just encourage your people to go to the doctor. Again, there are so many scenarios where I hear about black men having these diseases and sicknesses, and it's like if you would have just went to the doctor,
Mm-hmm.
that would have been taken care of. I have friends that's, not I'll say friends. I know people who, I'm 31, they 34, teeth about to be gone. I'm like, when the last time you been to the dentist? Like, what we doing? And like you said, people working so hard that they just be like, I got time, I'll go. But
Yeah.
you really don't. You need to go get that checked out.
Yeah.
You're a parent, correct?
Technically about to be step parent, not a. I don't have a child yet, but
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay, so you got somebody in your house. I'll say that. But
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah.
important to instill in
Yeah.
kids, and even if you overdo it, because I think my parents overdid it with me. So now I'm like health conscious about it to where they so on it to where
Mhm.
it's like you don't even have to tell them. Like, she ain't had to tell me you need to go to the doctor. I'm over here like, I need to go to the doctor. I need to go to the doctor. I need to go to the doctor.
Mhm.
I got the eyes taken care of, about to go back to the dentist and then get that. But it's just people who go years without, and not even just regular doctor. They'll go years without going to the eye doctor. They'll go years without. So having a platform you have, what would be a way in which you would encourage your audience? Because your audience is made up of what? Have you checked the analytics on that?
Yeah. Primarily 18 to 25 black men, type of that demographic. Of course, DMV, Tulsa, Oklahoma, where Dez and Gary are, um, Jersey. So yeah, in that in that
So I
demographic.
don't know, I might be giving you an idea. I was gonna say, I don't know if you had one, but you could use this as a pivot point to discuss this on the
Please,
podcast.
please.
And I think that would be good because people need to hear it. And
Hmm.
and it's all y'all have different views on it. And you might be surprised who having that conversation openly. And somebody might say, "Man, I ain't been to the doctor," and you'd be like, "You be surprised."
Yeah.
Simple WSMD. What should man do in this situation? We already kind of went over that.
Hmm.
I gave him a tip for what he should do. And honestly, when it goes back to D'Angelo, I don't know his situation with, the rights to the music, because, sometimes they get their rights to like their kids or something, like if something happens to them. So all I'm gonna say in this situation is because that man is grieving, like both his parents gone in 1 year. I would say just go run up D'Angelo music because that will go to him. You know what I'm saying? He
Yeah.
can't replace them, but it's just off GP.
Yeah.
We know people gonna do that regardless, so we ain't even got to
No,
tell
that's a
them.
fact.
Anything else you want to add to that before we get into the final conversation and the most interesting one for the day?
Yeah. I mean, definitely, I would just encourage everyone, like I said before, to make sure that you go get checked out. Check on your people, right? If your parents are still around, check on them. Make sure you know what doctors that they're going to, right? Speak to their doctors. Um, and it's really about too. We gotta watch what we are putting in our bodies, right? I know for myself, it got to the point where I was drinking some Red Bulls, right? I was like them Juneberry joints, just crushing them joints, right? And then I started feeling chest kind of tightening up. I was like, oh no. I was like, okay, let me think. What have I been doing differently? Them damn Red Bulls, and
How
not.
many were you doing?
Oh, sometimes it could have been 2 or 3 a day.
Mm.
Yeah, and sometimes before noon, right? And so I was like, oh, and it was a very short period of time. Like it was, maybe within a month or so, and I started instantly feeling it. So I was like, oh no, so we have to also track what you are putting in your body, the fast foods, um, the sugars, all those different things, right? Make sure you also take time to get in some type of exercise. If you can, if you work at an office like I do, right, on a regular, I just go outside, walk around my office building, right, just
Yeah.
doing something like that. Take the stairs instead of the elevator. Those little things can help, extend, your life as well. So those are the things I would advise, especially, with it being so difficult to try and get to the doctor and this and that. There's other little things you can do as well to help you with your health. So
Definitely. Good stuff. And also, real quick, last point. I've learned in the recent years, maybe like last few years, the importance and the need for fasting. Like, you also look up some videos on them. We do them for spiritual reasons, but also the health benefits of, a dry fast or a water fast or a, just intermittent fast, and does a lot more than people realize. It does obviously with weight loss, but it does a lot with the cells and autophagy. So that's something I ain't giving a science lesson today, but y'all should look it up on YouTube and see, and you'll be interested to see what you'd find out, because I got a lot of good videos on there. All right, y'all. So let's move to the final conversation today. So Kirk Franklin has a new, I guess, podcast called Den of Kings. And one of my family friends and someone who also worked for Jay Barnett was on the podcast. And now this clip doesn't feature him, but he was at the round table. And it was a clip of NLE Choppa giving his stance on his beliefs, spirituality, and then Jonathan Majors responded. Now, I want to have a healthy conversation about this, because it was some things that I noticed that I feel like most people saw, but there's other things I feel like most people didn't catch. Now, of course, it won't be the whole episode, because I didn't watch the full thing yet, but I saw from other little clips that people were so fixated on that, but there were so many other ones that were really good. But I think we're gonna watch this real quick. So this is complimentary of the shade room of all places, I know. But we about to watch this clip real quick and speak on it.
Religious trauma. What we're dealing with a lot at this table is because we have had people make us feel bad.
You know why though? It's a thing where you have us here as people, you have God, and then this is what happened. We got to go through all these different things to get primarily the source. Primarily the source. You know what I have a problem with? One of the things I have a problem with, and it may be controversial. A lot of people may say this and may say that. I don't like, let me say it in a manner, but going to church isn't the solution, man.
No.
I get. Let me think on it. In Christianity, it's a thing where people praise the Son more than they praise the Father. And that's what I don't like.
Okay.
Because if we are man made in a likeness, Jesus is our brother. You get what I'm saying? Why would I drop down and praise my brother instead of praising my father? And that goes back to honoring your parents.
I just gotta say something.
What?
Have you read the Bible?
I read the Bible, I listen to the Bible, I receive from source straight.
I would say read it again.
Sir.
Let me ask you a question, Ray J.
Where it's extremely intelligent. Let me think.
Okay, so let's get into the first point for today. There's people watching this today. Real quick, before I say what I gotta say, this is the beauty of staying consistent. I fell out with the live streams and I suffered with it. But when I get back consistent, I seen it. So that's good. All right. What does this have to do with mental health? Study of how we act, think, and feel. So one thing about me is I'm all for healthy conversation, even if we can agree to disagree. I do like the setup. As a producer myself, I like that the group is like a bag of trail mix. That group does not match. But for something like that, that's needed.
Right.
Ray J, NLE Choppa, Kev on stage, Kirk J. Like, what are we doing? But I like that. So that was good. NLE is been controversial, before his music. I ain't gonna lie, he got some good songs a little bit. But he's been controversial. Like, but
yeah, I haven't listened to him, to be honest.
I ain't gonna lie, I kind of be listening to YN music a little bit, but because he only like 22. But
gotcha.
So they were having a healthy conversation. It was no name calling, it was no disrespect. It was just, to me, him having genuine questions as a YN. We can consider him a YN, and trying to find just trying to understand it because he doesn't get it. And from his breakdown, I understand where he's coming from because I'm a believer, right? So I believe in the Bible. I believe in Jesus. I know a lot of people, on the fence about it, don't believe it, whatever. That's y'all business, right? And that's cool. But what I can say is Jonathan Majors, some people either loved or hated his response. I'm indifferent towards it because again, I didn't watch the whole thing. We only going off this one clip. So just only going off this one clip, then that's what we're gonna do. I think that I get where one thing is kind of like from a person on NLE's side, it looks like damn, you kind of being dismissive, like you just saying, well, just read you ain't trying hard enough. But then I get from the other angle, as someone which people even were saying in the comments when they were kind of like, well, as someone who like me, like when I first started reading the Bible and it was like I didn't get it. But the more I grew with God and been rereading it, it's like things that jump out to me that didn't jump out before, and I'm getting a better understanding of things. So from that angle, I get what he was trying to say, but it was one of those. And not saying that I don't believe Jonathan Majors was doing that, but I could see people feeling like he was trying to sun him, like just read it again. You ain't trying hard enough. And that doesn't help with people like that, because if you're really trying to, and again, it's off the cliff. We didn't watch the whole thing because I know it got more in depth than that. Trust me, I know that because I know who's there. But it can just look away, and it can make somebody who is trying to understand just kind of be like, forget it.
Yeah.
So, what's your take on the clip, and what's your stance on everything?
Wow. Well, yeah, I didn't see the whole thing either. And actually, I was going to watch the clips that were up, but then, everything happened, D'Angelo and all that, so that kind of shifted that. Yeah, that can come off as very dismissive. I wish Jonathan Majors would have followed it up with, well, if you read or if you have read the Bible, then you would know X, Y, and Z, or you know what I mean? Like, instead of just leaving it at a blank statement, because a lot of times that's the problem, especially when you're trying to reach Black men, especially. Like, sometimes we need examples, or we need a more in-depth answer, right? So we can fully understand and comprehend. Just saying that, yeah, it does come off as kind of dismissive. And listen, I take a different stance on the Bible and Jesus Christ, and because I know the history of it within this country. For those of y'all who haven't tuned into the HL podcast, we cover politics, film, music, all that. And the main thing that I primarily focus on is the political side, or the raising awareness about our Black history, different things like that. And just knowing the history. And this is not controversial anymore, because I think we should all know this, that the Bible has been rewritten throughout. We don't fully know the full extent of the truth. Let's just call it what it is, right? And that's no disrespect or anything like that. It's just, that's a fact. If this happened so long ago, as we say, history, and we know how history has been. I mean, we just celebrated a man who, in Christopher Columbus, with that history, and we know how that was changed and what we were taught, and and then later on find out. So same thing with the Bible, right? A lot of people like myself believe Jesus Christ was a Black man, unlike what is portrayed, right? Just off the break, then you want me to read something that, again, has been changed throughout history, right? All of this happened primarily in the Middle East, in Africa. But you got, Bibles being printed here in America. Like, I want the truth from, that's where it happened. That's where the truth is, right? To me, however you feel is how you feel. I've been to church, right? I've heard, pastors, and for me, it was very theatrical, right? It just seemed like they were giving their word, not so much God's word, right? So I try to connect directly with God, period. And I talk and pray to God every day. right? I talk to him, right? I'm a person that, I talk to myself sometimes, but I'm in that regard, I'm talking to God and asking him what's going on with me, help me. Thank you for this, thank you for that. Hey, why the hell did this happen? Like what, and that's my dynamic, my relationship with God. I don't, I couldn't never see myself doing that with a pastor, solely because, again, there's been um, evidence and proof. Not all pastors, but a lot of them, have their own agendas, and not, solely as God being the main one. And I'll leave that at that, right? And so, it's a double edged. So, for him to just say, read the Bible again, like, oh, he was, asking a very sincere question. Like, you can tell he felt what he was saying, right? Like, like, I struggle with this. And that's a lot of young black men, especially, even black men like myself who are getting older, right? That is a struggle with that. I have my guy, Chief, right, who was, on the podcast with me before, right? Like, we still communicate. He's got his family now. And, he was trying to get me connected more so with the teachings, right? And he said, look, same thing, right? He'll use it as a tool to dissect certain things, right? To hear the word, and but he understands too that it's been changed, it's been this, it's been that, so he uses it in a different way, more so, like I said, a tool to connect with God, because even though the books, not everything's been changed, right? There's a lot of things that still came directly from that time, and I can understand that. I'm not naive to that. But it's, that's a tough conversation, the spiritual, the religion, right? Like, I definitely would say connect with your spirit, because we all know, right? Like, as somebody like a KRS-One has pointed out, our body is just it's the spirit, right? That's why you get deja vu. That's why we talk about these kids. Oh, you've been here before, because at 1 month old, they dapping you up, or blah, 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 whatever, right? Or they walk in at 5 months. The spirit is is what gets passed on through, the body's just, that's why, if you bury it, it dies, so just connect with your spirit, I would say, more so than, and you could be religious. I'm not saying, believe what you believe, but at the end of the day, it's about your spirit and your connection with God, period. That's what I was, because I mean, what happens if, there's no more pastors tomorrow? Everybody, what, you gonna freak out, and now what, you gonna have excuse not to have a connection with God? You know what I mean? So
okay, let's go to the next segment, which is WWID. What would I do in this situation? So I brought this conversation up because I knew how you felt. That's why I did that. Super producer. Now, here's the thing. Now, again, like I said, I know everybody don't believe, and as somebody who grew up, mom didn't become Christian. Well, said she was a Christian, but really didn't get into it until a little older. When I was a little older, and I grew up, my dad was Hebrew Israelite. So I had a whole different connection, and I would go to church with my grandma, who was Lutheran. Okay. So I also am very intelligent myself. And so when you do research and you see things that's not making sense, and for me, I wish, and I know this sounds crazy, and like I said, I wish I could say, I can go the route with people and tell them, well, I got to question it because this, and the third, because a lot of people question it, and I understand, because I get it. I don't have that grace. When I tell you I have been inducted into supernatural things since I was a little boy, that proved to me that God was real, and I think it's a blessing, because I hear people with the church hurt stories, and I like to listen to them, because in another case, I can't relate to those stories, because even the church I've been going to now since 2018, my pastor ain't crooked. Now, I didn't see the crooked pastors. I didn't been to some of them churches, especially in Houston. I'm like, and I feel bad, and see, I look at it differently, because my soul yearns for, or not yearns, but I feel bad for the people like the NLE Choppas, and a lot of, he is the representation of most young black men in spirituality right now, who don't have a representation. They are seeking to know, and then sometimes, and I really don't think Jonathan Majors meant it in a bad way. I really don't.
No,
That
I don't think he meant it malicious. No.
But sometimes they hear things, and it's like you just dismissed it, because unfortunately, taking even spirituality out of it, a lot of that generation is just dismissive. They believe in, both my parents are 61. So they come from that generation of, you just do what mom and daddy say, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And so even when that situation, it's like, okay, well, dang, well, I'm trying to understand, and y'all not giving me no good answers. And a lot of times, and I tell people all the time, because one thing people will say, I will hear people say about the Bible, they will say, well, it contradicts itself, because the Bible says when God says he's a jealous God, how can you be jealous if that's a sin? I said, well, what does jealous mean in Hebrew? The whole room got quiet. I said, exactly. So Hebrew, in Hebrew, jealous, the word is means of someone of extreme a passion for. So it was translated into jealous because you can get an understanding. Mm-hmm. But if you look at the Hebrew word, it's of having great passion for. So when he says that, it's saying that I have great love and passion for you. But when you translate it, says it. So when they heard it, they're like, oh, okay. So even when you're saying it's being rewritten, you one of those people I need to say, you need to go, if you go back to it, I don't know where your stance is now, but most people I would suggest go get you the verses, because it's we're in the information age. You know what I mean? So everything is available. Yeah. So I would say to a person like NLE, anybody else who's willing to, because some people ain't willing. And look, it ain't my job to push nobody to do nothing. So, but I would suggest to somebody like NLE, I would in this situation would say, get you a Bible, find you those. I know they got the Blue Letter Bible. They have the, what else is it called? It's the Blue Letter. It's the Strong Concordance, and breaks down a lot of those verses and their original meanings and what it was, so that way it can and tie it back to the verse and the timing and the context, to really sit there and get it break by break, and also really sitting with God during that process too, because I'm very smart. I'm a toot my own horn. I go in most rooms. I'm probably one of the smartest person in the room. People will never think it because how I act and how I dress, but I still know that I can't do it all on my own. So all for, being intelligent, which I think NLE is, and I think a lot of people are. But one thing I try not to do, and I have to catch myself too, is I can be like, I'm too smart for this. And I think that when we do that, we do ourselves a disservice. So with NLE, that's what I would say to NLE. And to Jonathan Majors, I would just, if I was in NLE's spot, I would probably say, I don't know, because I think because he was the youngest in the room, he don't want to look like the angry YN. So it was probably like, I would say, hey, I don't know what I would say. Well, I'll leave that to you. What would you say if you was NLE Choppa?
In response to Jonathan Majors?
Yeah.
I would ask further questions.
Yeah.
Okay, read the Bible. Okay, well, what part are you talking about? Like, what do you recommend, Jonathan? Yeah. What section? What chapter? What would you recommend that I read specifically? If you're just saying go read the whole thing entirely again, okay. But if I already read it, I'm giving you my I could have read it 5 times already. You don't know, right? And I'm talking about them two in this situation. Yeah. He wouldn't know that. You're right. So yeah, I would start asking more questions. Okay, well, what do you mean by that? Give me some, chapters, verses that you feel like I should take in.
Yeah.
With my, per my statement. No,
for sure. WWJD, funny fact, what would Jesus do? So in this situation, honestly, I would tell, and Nick, going back to NLE, what I had to do when I first really started reading the Bible, it was suggested that I read the Gospels, which was Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, which was detailing Jesus, and then kind of going back and, to people who are religious, and they would say, well, you need to read the Bible in order, but that's not necessarily the case. And even that's a debate amongst some people. They say, well, you have to read it in order, or they don't understand this and they understand that. But you really have to, I believe there's a certain level of open-mindedness you should have with it, because certain things, and really with everything, because, this generation, again, taking spirituality out of it, we have our minds can be a little too open, and we're gonna leave it at that for right now. We can be a little too open. So I think it needs to still be some type of boundary and restraint. But I think that, I'm all for people seeking knowledge, and I'm a firm believer that things will come at you at the right time. I'm a firm believer in that. Even if you're going down the wrong path, whatever that path is, I believe things will come to you when they're supposed to, especially if you have good intentions. And you just never know. I believe anybody can be used to communicate a message. WSMD, because I got something I'm about to say. So what should men do in this situation? Honestly, keep having conversations like that. I'm for that. I'm for getting people who are all these different backgrounds, especially men, because we see it with women. Why don't we see it with men? I've been saying that for years. Why do we only see The View? Why do we see The Real? Why do we see all these shows with just women? Like, there's never a show that could be like that with men. I never understood that.
I mean,
go ahead.
Oh, I was about to say, I mean, you get it with sports, but
right. That's all we can talk about.
Yeah, with regular conversations, or you're right. We don't see it enough with men. You're right.
No, and I think we're kind of we're transitioning into that, because when you made a comment about my podcast, and again, I appreciate it when you say you actually talking about real stuff. I remember going to podcast studio, and again, I hope if LP see this, LP, I love you, and I'm not mad at this statement. I appreciate it, because he was asking me about my podcast, and he said, and I told him, and he paused, and he said, "Do you think people really want to hear about that?" I said, "I know they want to hear about it, because." Somebody else in the room, I think when they heard about it, she was just like, well, I mean, we all have to make the decision to pay our rent. And I'm like, okay, because I knew at that point what I said went over their heads. And for those that don't know what I said I have a podcast that caters to young millennial men who are mental health conscious and struggle with making healthy decisions. So with that, that's all of my topics, right? The live stream is still under that umbrella, but next week's episode, well, not this week, but next week's episode talks about how to overcome low self-esteem as a man, right? We talked about tricking. That women trick too, but that's mainly a male sport, right? So those things are all under that, if you may be struggling with that. And that was 2022. Again, I was ahead of my time, right before the rise of these podcasts, like Harley Initiated, like what's the one with Duke on there who used to play football? I listen to them, Nice and Neat podcasts, like the ones that big name, or all these men trying to have these types of conversations that are open and empowering. So I think that who is this? Chief, is this your people?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's
okay. Chief. I was funny we was talking about him, but I agree with this Chief. Okay, I get what you're saying. Appreciate you for your comment. But that's funny. We talking about Chief. That's hilarious. But I just think that we need to have more dialogue, and without people yelling and screaming and cussing each other out or saying somebody is stupid, because they're not gonna hear you that way. I go back to Shannon Sharp and Monique. I love Monique. And I remember on her podcast when she wanted to go off on somebody and let them know. And she said her husband said they won't hear you that way. So, and I'm trying to teach a nice young lady friend of mine, and she was so upset. And like, no. And I'm like, I hear what you're saying. You're not wrong. They're not going to hear you if you do all that.
Right.
So it's just about how you say it, who you saying it to, how you say it, and, the time. And then what's the other phrase I want to use? What was the agenda? Not the agenda, but what was the purpose of what you said? You know what I mean? For example, if, say, for instance, you have a trainer. Hold on, I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna let you answer this. What's your guys' opinions on the peace deal?
On the what peace deal are we talking about?
Wait, which one are we talking about?
Yeah,
put it in the comments, because whoever this is engaged. I told you.
In what context is peace? Yeah, peace deal.
Yeah. See, I'm glad I got back engaged. Yeah, whoever, Chief, keep going. Oh, with Israel.
Okay.
What's your take on that? He's the political guy.
So what U.S. got Israel to stop bombing and doing what they're doing? Is that what we're talking about here?
Let's see.
Um,
Let's see. He gonna load it up in a second.
yeah, I didn't hear about any peace deal.
Oh, so you got another topic. See, you got another episode.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he dropping something today. I'm gonna see what he gonna say. I'm trying to wait around for see if he gonna say anything else. But I want to end off my point. Oh, going back to the trainer thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you got a trainer, oh dang, he started talking again. Yes, and they released all the hostages that Hamas had.
Okay, I mean, like, that's little like we couldn't have done this, a long time ago. I mean, when did man when and why did man really get that arrogant to kill people? I don't want to cuss on, but okay, fucking kill people. Like when did when did that become okay to kill women and children? Like, okay, there's a peace deal now. That still doesn't excuse the fact that you killed a lot of fucking people. Period. Like, for an extended period of time. Like, oh, okay, peace deal. What? God is forgiving now? Like, no, hell no. Like, now the UN needs to bring the Israeli president upon charges, if we're being frank. That you saw when he was at the UN, everybody got up, walked out. Yeah, I mean, like, come on. Peace deal. And is this really going to be peace?
Yeah, or is
right?
it a agenda?
Yeah, is there really going to be? I mean, I can't, recall in history where there hasn't been a time where there's been no war, no conflict, no.
Yeah, they agree. That's my thought. Seemed like
yeah. I mean, that's like no way. This doesn't excuse what the hell happened. Like, it's what's happened, what's been happening over there and throughout the world. We got free the Sudan, free the Congo, okay? Free us here in America, black people, brown people right now in America. They kidnapping babies in Chicago. Like, what are we doing right now? This is a crazy time. And it's like, how dare anyone think that, I have autonomy over people and their bodies and their mind. I can just kill them just like that. That's absolutely absurd. It's ridiculous, and it needs to stop. It just needs to, again, how would you feel if somebody just rolled up on your child and just shot them in the head? Israel, seriously, I don't mean to be that graphic, but seriously, people need to think about that stuff, man. It's sad that people are like that.
Chief, I think you knew. Subscribe. Usually these are on Monday, so tune in every Monday around the same time, because usually it's on Tuesday day. I didn't want to go here, but I'm gonna just go here real quick. I'm gonna try to be quick. It's unfortunate because it is hard to. I mean, I'm still have my faith regardless. It don't matter, but it's hard to push it when we do have a country of who have manipulated it into dominating other people. And so then it's like when you see somebody that looks like you coming to you, hey brother, but they did this and this, and then you can defend it, but because they have done so much, it's like it's hard to defend in cases. But in the same breath, it is one of those things where it's like you have to be aware. And a lot of times I do what I don't like about some Christians are they try to like act like they didn't see it or just make an excuse. But we still need to acknowledge that it happened. Absolutely. But again, I think that's that generation where you just do it. I used to have issues with my mom all the time because my daddy not so much, because me and my dad actually think a lot alike. But my mama is kind of like that generation of I'm mama, I'm right. And I would be like, as early as 10 years old, I'd be like, that's not right. No, I don't know about that. So there's that. Chief, again, subscribe if you haven't. Like I said, the views been going crazy today. See, you magic. You bring the people out. You bring the city out. But what else I got to say? Again, no new episode this week. But I will drop a vlog on the YouTube channel, so check that out. Anything you got to say before we go today? I know it's gonna be a good conversation, but anything you got to say before we dip?
Yeah, man. Again, thank you for having me on your platform. I greatly appreciate it. Like I said, I love what you do, and what you're continuing to do. It's great. It's great for the culture. We got to keep this going. Everybody, please check out HL Podcast. Again, that's the HL Podcast with myself, DJ No Name, and Dez Suarez. Again, we talk about politics, film, music. Normally every Tuesday around 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central, live on YouTube, Twitch, and IG. You can check us out on Spotify, iHeartRadio as well. Everybody just, we need more positivity out there right now in the world, man. We need more positivity. And I'll real quick, I just want to say this, for people like a Stephen A. Smith, all right, dude, you need to chill out, man. You need to chill out. Talking crazy about Jasmine Crockett. Now, first you wasn't with Trump. Now you're back on Trump. You have a platform and a voice that a lot of, especially young black men, listen to because you are a black man who went to a HBCU, who's from Hollis, Queens, who is successful. You have a platform that people listen to your rhetoric. And a lot of it is wrong. A lot of it is incorrect. Now you're being dismissive and degrading towards our black women in particular. That just needs to stop. So, dude, we understand Disney put you out there in the forefront. You getting your millions of dollars. But just like how Steven Jackson said earlier, and many of plethora of other people, Tiffany Cross and Angela Rye also, as well, stick to sports, please. I'll just leave it at that. We need to stop that right now. In this time, we need to come together like on these platforms, how we're doing and talk, and what's going on, what he's doing with that is crazy. So just wanted to say that.
All right, y'all. Thank y'all again for tuning in. Thank you for joining me. Stay on after real quick. But again, on the new episode this week, rewatch Trickin'. Look, I got 23 episodes. All y'all ain't viewed this season. So go look at that. And the other ones from the other seasons too. We got 9 seasons. Check out his podcast as well. It'll be in the bio. PSA signing out. Always remember, keep your head up like your neck hurt. Remember who you are. Make your mind up. Don't let it make you. And always remember, I love us.